You will be able to see him on the screen there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
If you're here today, you're here because a criminal charge has been filed against you and you're set for an arraignment. I'm going to call our first case, and I'll explain some of the issues with the case as we go through that. Rogovoy, City versus Rogovoy. Go ahead and approach the table with the microphone, please. You are here today, sir, charged with a unlawful conduct, possession of drug paraphernalia. I have reviewed the affidavit of probable cause and do find probable cause in this case. That is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There is a mandatory minimum sentence of 1 day in jail if convicted of this offense. Do you understand that? Yes. You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney today. Some rights were also played before court started. Do you understand those rights? The provisional attorney has indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request court-appointed counsel. You do qualify, so I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. We will appoint Ms. Summer Rife to represent you. You will be provided with your attorney's contact information. And we will reset this case to December 14th. That will be at 8:30 in the morning. I have an address on Murris Lane. Is that still a current address? You did appear here today on a summons, so you will be released on the condition that you have no criminal violations. You make all your court dates. You stay in touch with your attorney. Which means you make appointments with your attorney in order to allow your attorney to assist you on this case. You are not to possess, consume any alcohol, marijuana, or non-prescribed drugs. Do you understand those conditions? All right, we have some paperwork for you. That'll conclude your case today. Once you receive that paperwork, you're free to go. Do you have any cases yet? Are you working on that?
I haven't been,
Okay.
Cornejo Gonzalez, is that, it's not.
No. Timothy Harding. Mr. Harding, come forward to the table with the microphone, stand in front of the microphone so we can pick up your responses here today. I have some general information. Everybody else in the courtroom should pay attention to the following as well. You're here today on a criminal charge. Pasco Municipal Court deals with two types of criminal charges, misdemeanors and gross misdemeanors. A misdemeanor is punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. A gross misdemeanor is punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. As I call each of your cases, I will advise you whether or not it's a misdemeanor or a gross misdemeanor. I'll also let you know if there is any mandatory jail time if convicted of the particular offense. If you are here today and pleading not guilty, if it is a driving offense and you have other infractions like a speeding or a failure to stop, something like that, typically you would have to make a request for a hearing. But because you're here today, I'll give you the opportunity to set that with the other criminal case and resolve all of those at the same time. Whether you have a court-appointed counsel or you retain an attorney, it is important that you contact an attorney immediately and that you maintain contact with the attorney while this case is pending. That is part of your conditions of release. It's necessary that you make appointments, you meet with your attorney so that they can assist you on your particular case. Each of you, if you were present on time, heard the rights, constitutional rights. I'll confirm with you that you understand them, don't have any questions. I'll also confirm your current mailing address. All right, with that said, Mr. Harding, you are here today on a theft. That is a gross misdemeanor. There is no mandatory minimum sentence. I have found probable cause in this case. You understand those rights you have? Any questions about them at all? You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney today, and he's indicating you wish to plead not guilty and will attempt to hire your own attorney. I'll make those notations and enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. You did appear here on a summons today. Unless Mr. Hanson says otherwise, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance on the condition you have no criminal violations. You stay in touch with your attorney. And you make all your court appearances. Any questions about those? Mr. Harding, I have an address on Bayview Lane. Is that still current? Thank you. All right, we have a copy of these conditions of release for you today. We'll give those to you. Once you receive your paperwork, you're free to go.
Your Honor, the city just asked for the additional condition that he not return to this particular farm and that he not harvest any crops that he does not have a property right or permission to.
All right. Mr. Harding, Mr. Hanson is requesting that you not return to this particular farm, and not harvest any crops that you're not entitled to. Do you understand that? All right. Your next court is date is December 15th at 8:30 in the morning. All right, thank you. I'll turn it up a little bit there. So. Evan Cornejo Gonzalez. Good afternoon. You're here today on a reckless driving charge. That is a gross misdemeanor. There is no mandatory minimum sentence. However, a conviction would result in a suspension of your driver's license for 30 days. Do you understand that? Any questions about those comments I made before I started calling cases? You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney. After doing so, he's indicated you wish to plead not guilty. You did request court-appointed counsel. It appears your income exceeds that which qualifies you for court-appointed counsel. If you wish to be represented, you will be required to hire an attorney. Let me take a look at that. Sure, I have a current address on West Clearwater. Is that still a correct address? As I indicated, probable cause has been found. You are here today on a summons, so you will be released on your promise to appear here today or at future hearings. Not to have any criminal violations, you're not to drive without a license or insurance. Do you understand that? Your next court date will be December 14th. Excuse me, December 15th. As I indicated, your income exceeds that which qualifies you for court-appointed counsel. If you wish to be represented by an attorney, you will be required to hire one. Do you understand that, sir? All right. We will give you a copy of these conditions. Once you receive those, you're free to go. Orlando Hurley. Good afternoon, Mr. Hurley. You're here today on a charge of driving while license suspended in the 3rd degree. That is a misdemeanor. You have a number of rights as a result of this charge. There is no mandatory minimum sentence if convicted of this offense. Any questions about those rights you have as a result of this charge? I have found probable cause in this case. you've had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty. You're requesting court-appointed counsel. It appears you do qualify. Mr. Scott will be appointed to represent you. Do you know when your next court date is on this other case?
It's December 7th, Your Honor.
7th, I see that. All right. We're going to go ahead and set this one to December 7th as well to avoid multiple settings.
And Your Honor, the city's going to ask to address conditions of release on this case.
Go ahead, Mr. Hanson.
Your Honor, Mr. Hurley, as you saw, is currently on conditions of release for driving while suspended second on cause number XZ0136174. He was PR'd on the condition that he not drive without proper license or insurance. Here in August, there's an alleged suspended third degree. Then 9 days later, in September 1st in Franklin District, he had a suspended third that he resolved the no license on person. And then about October 23rd, no valid operator's license. So I see at least 3 occasions where he has not been able to follow Your Honor's conditions of release. So we're going to ask that $500 cash or bond be posted by Friday by close of court to ensure that he obey Your Honor's simple simple condition release not to drive a motor vehicle without proper license or insurance.
Mr. Hurley, a couple of questions. Is your current address still on North 8th? And I see you've worked on clearing up some holds on your license. Are you in the process of getting that right now? All right. This is what I'm going to do, Mr. Hurley. I'm not going to impose any additional conditions at this time. I see that you have made some strides. You've moved from a suspended license to now eligible. You need to pay those fees that make you that will authorize you to get that. You have to have financial responsibility as well. You understand that? All right. No more driving till you get your license. Do you understand that? December 7th is your next court date. Stay in touch with Mr. Scott. We'll provide you his contact information. All right. And it needs to be Spanish, Your Honor. Thank you. Carlos Franco Madrid. Mr. Franco Madrid, you're here today on a charge of disorderly conduct. That is a misdemeanor. It is punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There is no mandatory sentence for such a conviction. You have a number of constitutional rights that were played before court started. Were you able to hear and understand those rights? You've had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney today. After doing so, he's indicated you wish to plead not guilty and you request court-appointed counsel. Probable cause has been found in this case. I will enter a plea of not guilty. We'll appoint Ms. Summer Rife to represent you. You did appear here today on a summons. So you will be released on the condition that you have no criminal violations, you make all your court dates, you're to contact your attorney within the next 10 days and contact your attorney weekly while this case is pending or is directed by your attorney. You're to make appointments with your attorney so that they can assist you or she can assist you on this case. It is a condition of your release that you stay in touch with your attorney. Do you understand that? Your next court date is December 14th. I have an address on West Irving Street. Is that current? We'll give you copies of your conditions of release as well as your attorney's contact information. Once you receive that, you're free to go. You're welcome. Guadalupe Cruz. All right, good afternoon. You're here today on a charge of hit and run unattended property. That is a misdemeanor. It is punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence if convicted of this. You do have a number of constitutional rights that were played before court started. Were you able to hear and understand those rights? You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney today. After doing so, he's indicated you wish to plead not guilty and request the court appoint an attorney. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. will appoint an attorney to represent you.
Okay.
That attorney's name is Summer Rife.
Nombre de su persona, ¿cuál?
You have some infractions that were issued. That is an insurance violation that was issued at the same time as the criminal charge. Do you want to set that to a hearing with this criminal case?
Para una audiencia juntamente con este caso penal. Ajá.
You brought proof?
¿Trajo la prueba hoy? Yes.
Insurance, 2006 Nissan Altima, effective date 11/3/2025.
Did you just not have that with you at the time?
Simplemente no traía eso con usted en este momento. Simplemente no traía la prueba de aseguranza con usted en el momento. No.
Want to make sure you keep that with you in case you're requested to produce that by an officer in the future. There's a $25 administrative fee. To pay that in full by December 3rd. You, yes, you can. I'll dismiss that charge because you did have insurance. We'll continue the criminal case to December 14th. I have an address on West J Street. Is that still current? We'll provide you with conditions of release, your attorney's contact information, and a slip to take to the window so you can pay that $25 administrative fee. Once you receive these documents, you're free to go. You're welcome. Thank you. Damian Nixon. Good afternoon, Mr. Nixon. You are here today on a charge of shoplifting. That is a gross misdemeanor. Were you present in the courtroom when I made those general remarks at the beginning? All right. A shoplifting charge is a gross misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that, sir? You do have a number of constitutional rights. They were played before court started. They're also contained in this statement of defendant on plea of guilty that you handed forward. Do you understand those rights? And there are some initials on this document. Are those initials placed there to indicate that you've reviewed not only those rights, but the potential consequences and potential immigration consequences for a conviction of a criminal offense? There's also a signature on this document. Did you sign this document to indicate that you've reviewed this with the provisional attorney? You understand what you're doing today and you're doing it voluntarily? There is a recommendation contained in this statement under paragraph 6. You understand I'm not required to follow that recommendation. If you plead guilty today, you do face up to 364 days in jail. You understand that? With regard to this statement, did you read this or did the provisional attorney read it to you? All right. Other than the recommendation, has anybody made any promises or threats to get you to plead guilty? Are you doing this voluntarily? To the charge of shoplifting, a crime which was committed on or about September 30th, 2020 in the city of Pasco. How do you plead, sir? Guilty or not guilty? And your statement is that on or about that date in Pasco, Washington, I took an item not belonging to me that was available for sale at the Walmart with the intent to convert it to my own use. Is that a correct statement? I'll accept your plea of guilty. Find there's a factual basis for the plea. Mr. Nixon, you do have a right to address the court before any sentence is imposed. Is there anything you would like to say? Ms. Chang, is there something you wanted to say on behalf of?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Nixon and I talked about this. He is currently employed and he would like the court to give him some additional time if possible before he accepts the sentence of that recommended sentence of 10 days in jail to work things out with his employer so that he can hopefully retain his job.
All right. Where are you working, Mr. Nixon?
KFC.
All right. Do you support anybody besides yourself? You earning minimum wage?
Yes.
Do you live at home or do you live on your own?
I live on the run.
On your own?
Yes.
Anybody else work in the household?
Yes.
Yes? All right. I'm going to adjust the fines and costs here slightly. I'm going to impose a $250 fine, a jail assessment of $250, a monitoring assessment of $50, and a $43 criminal conviction fee. I'm going to impose 90 days in jail and suspend 80 days. That leaves a balance of 10 days. It doesn't look like you have any credit yet. I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time here in order to turn yourself in. Go to January 8th. That's January 8th at 6 p.m. If you fail to turn yourself in at that time, a warrant would be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that, sir? Set payments in this case at $30 a month and start those on December 3rd. You're not to go back to Walmart. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nixon, I have an address on East 7th in Kennewick. Is that still current?
Yes, sir.
Is that 337 zip code?
No, sir.
6?
Yeah.
All right, I have a copy of this paperwork for you. Also, I have something that you take with you to the jail to turn yourself in. If you work something out and you want to turn yourself in sooner, you need to come to the window and complete a new report date, okay? Right, once you receive your paperwork, you're free to go. You're welcome. Hilario Marillo. Good afternoon, Mr. Murillo. You're here today on a charge of hit and run attended. That is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted, you face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Mr. Hansen, in reviewing the affidavit of probable cause, nowhere in here does it say that the vehicle was occupied or being driven. Do you have any additional information that you can provide the court?
Oh, Your Honor, unfortunately, working remotely, this is the first I've heard of it. This is the first I've seen the affidavit. You said there was nothing about Mr. Murillo?
No, there's nothing about the other vehicle being attended. It just says he struck another vehicle in an accident and continued to drive and didn't report the. So there's sufficient information for me to find probable cause for an unattended, but not for a attended. So.
Well, Your Honor, there's really nothing I can do remotely to
All right.
do that at this time. So if you're not going to find PC based on that, we just ask the charge remain as is and just set it for a pretrial.
Thank you. Mr. Murillo, what that means for you is if I'm unable to find probable cause, and in this case, I'm not able to find probable cause because the affidavit doesn't give me enough information to make that finding, I'm not going to set any conditions on release other than you must return to court. Do you understand that? You have any questions about the constitutional rights you have as a result of this charge? You have talked with the provisional attorney today, and after doing so, he's indicated you wish to plead not guilty. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf, and we will appoint Ms. Summer Rife to represent you in this case. Reset this to December 14th at 8:30. I have an address for you on Birch Road. Is that still current? right, we'll provide you with this information as well as your attorney's contact information. Once you receive this, you are free to go. Oh, Mr. Murillo, you do have, along with this, a infraction that was issued. Do you want to set that to a hearing with the criminal case? When you're issued an infraction for a driving offense, the civil infraction, typically you're required to request a hearing or pay the amount of the violation. Oh, you've already taken care of it, with the exception of the negligent driving in the second degree that was issued as well. So you want to set that to the hit and run along with the hit and run? All right, we'll set it to that date. Okay, thank you. If you have your paperwork, you are free to go. Barbara Yarno. Good afternoon, Ms. Yarno. You're here today on a charge of shoplifting. That is a gross misdemeanor. If convicted of that, you do face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that? Any questions about those rights you have that were played before court started? You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, he's indicated you wish to plead not guilty to this offense. I will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. I have reviewed this, and I do find probable cause in this matter.
Your Honor, city asks if there's a provisional attorney in the courtroom, because we are going to address conditions of release and request bail on this case.
All right, yes, we do have a provisional attorney. Mr. Hanson, conditions.
Your Honor, city asks Ms. Yarno have no new criminal law violations, make all future court dates, do not return to Lowe's, or sorry, I may have clicked on a different one, to Walmart. This case sounded very familiar because we had her in August or July. You can see through her history, just theft after theft, including inhaling toxic fumes. We don't have that particular charge in this court, which is why we sent the last one to district court. It seems Ms. Yarno cannot stop entering stores, huffing solvents or canned products, and then acting out of control in the store. So we are going to ask for $1,500 cash or bond, and that she be remanded into custody today. Just note, she also does have an outstanding bench warrant for what looks like probably a probation violation or a DOC violation out of Mason County Superior Court.
Mr. Nacarado.
Certainly speaking with Ms. Yarno today, she's got some pending matters, as counsel pointed out. Looks like those are all set for tomorrow in Franklin County. She advises me just briefly in our discussions that she actually has some reports from the treatment facilities. It appears that she's taking some steps to address this underlying problem. She has those today. Apparently the court needs to see those. And I know the court just found probable cause just based on my review of the police report, other than the allegation that the officer said that she couldn't provide any receipt. I didn't see anything in that report to suggest Walmart was claiming that none of those items, these cans, if you will, weren't purchased. I think ultimately it's probably a question in fact here to be determined by a trial. In fact, but it seems to me that's the basis of the shoplifting charge, is the fact that the officer stated she didn't have the receipts. But I didn't see anything in the report that said Walmart was claiming that she didn't purchase those items that are at issue here. But notwithstanding that fact, Your Honor, She did respond to the summons. She's got the other court matter set for tomorrow, because she's also on DOC supervision at the meeting to be set with her DOC supervisor today. So we're hopeful, because she did appear today, that the court would allow her to remain on PR and show up to her court date.
Your Honor, I'll just say for the court's awareness, her June 15th theft out of Richland, looks like she was arraigned on October 30th on that one. Fortunately, Benton County hasn't updated their conditions of release, but I'll just note she continues to go to Walmart as well. Obviously, she wasn't on conditions of release at that time, but there's strong reason to believe she would be trespassed from that location by Walmart. And the concern is just this ongoing behavior that has been nonstop for the last 3 years.
Right, thank you, counsel. There are outstanding warrants out of Paulsville Municipal Court, as well as Mason County Superior Court. We're unable to confirm those warrants. As Yarnall, you have a horrible history for appearing in court as well. It looks like more than half of the cases involving criminal charges have warrants that were issued in them. Where are you going to treatment?
I'm going at Somerset. I just got done. At the mental health. The day after I did this.
I don't want you to talk about the facts of this, okay? You need to speak to your attorney about that.
They're also gonna put me in drug court, so I've been reviewing drug court every week also.
Ms. Yardell, you're on a very short leash here, okay? I'm not going to arrest you today. I'm not going to make you post bail, but you need to understand something. You're not to go back to Walmart. You're to stay in compliance with any treatment program. If we request such proof, you need to provide it. You're to make all your court appearances. Your next court appearance will be December 15th. Your income exceeds that, which qualifies you for court-appointed counsel. I have entered a plea of not guilty on your behalf. You're not to use, possess, or consume any alcohol, marijuana, or non-prescribed drugs, and you are to submit to a test if an officer has reason to believe you've consumed the same. Do you understand that? I have a current address on Blue Jay. Is that correct? If there are any other new violations or violations of conditions of release in this case, I'll reconsider the bail or incarceration. You're welcome. Kristen Sowers? Is it Sowers or Sowers? Sowers. Good afternoon, Ms. Sowers. You're here today on a charge of driving while license suspended in the third degree. That is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. There is no mandatory minimum sentence for such a conviction. Do you understand that? You do have a number of rights that were played before court started. Were you able to hear and understand those rights? Do you have any questions about those rights? Yeah, I've had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney, and after doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty. I'll enter a plea, of not guilty on your behalf. I have found probable cause. You did appear here today on a summons. So you will be released. You have some other cases pending here.
She has Mr. Libbert appointed and they're set for February 3rd.
February 3rd. I don't know that we can go out that far on this case. You'll need to meet with Mr. Libbert and discuss any other resets. Ms. Sowers. All right. We'll continue this to December 14th. I have an address on Manassas Court. Is that current? Sowers, you did receive an infraction along with this criminal charge. Do you want to set that to the hearing with this criminal case? All right. You're not to drive without a license or insurance. You're to make all your court dates. You're to stay in touch with Mr. Libbert. Do you understand that? Do you know what you need to do in order to get your license? You have a number of unpaid tickets, both in Benton. Let's see, that's Benton County. That's Benton County. That's Franklin County. And looks like in Benton and Franklin County, you need to reach out to those courts and see if there's anything they'll do. If not, you need to contact Washington collectors and make arrangements. If you qualify for what's called the relicensing program, you pay the application fee. With the very first payment you make, they would release the holds on your license, which would allow you to get your license reinstated. As long as you continue to make the monthly payments, you'll continue to have a valid license. If you stop making the payments, you'll get a notice that you've been removed from the program and your license has been resuspended. So you might want to look into those, okay? You contact either the courts or contact Washington collectors if that's what you want to do. They'll have that information for you, okay? All right. Joe Tenbush. Good afternoon, Mr. Tenbush. Sir, you're here today on a criminal charge of driving while license suspended in the third degree. It looks like the prosecutors offered to amend this to a driving without a valid driver's license in the second degree, which is an infraction. Are you accepting that offer today? The recommended penalty is $350. Give me a moment here. I will impose that $350 penalty. Mr. Tenbush, there's another issue here. It has to do with the infractions that you received. Typically, you would have to either just pay those or send in a request for a hearing on those infractions. Because you're here today, I would give the opportunity to address those. You can do that in one of two ways. You can admit the violations and we can talk about the amount of the penalty today, or we can set it for a contested hearing. What would you like to do today?
I'll just admit to it.
All right.
Is there a way that I can maybe like make the arrangements on payments on them?
Yes. With regard to the personal electronic device, based on your admission, I'll reduce that penalty to $100. Did you have insurance at the time of driving, Mr. Tenbush?
No, I didn't. Right now, I'm in the process of trying to do the relicensing program stuff to get my license back, so I already filled out the application, and I sent it in, I'm just waiting to get a response back.
All right. Where do you work, Mr. Tenbush?
I was self-employed, but right now I'm just getting unemployment.
Do you support anybody besides yourself?
It's me, and then I got, it's my girl's grandson, well, our grandson that I help take care of, but it's just this, that's right here, yeah.
All right. On the, between these two, the infractions and this criminal charge that is amended, that's $825. I don't want to put you in a position where you're not going to be able to make those other payments because I want you to get your license,
Yeah,
okay? So I'm going to set these a little lower than I typically would set them because you are making some efforts here to get yourself back on track. So I'm going to set this at $25 a month here, okay? If for any reason you're having difficulty making the payments, you need to reach out to the clerk's office because they're pretty reasonable. It's when you stop making contact and we don't know what you're doing that we assume you've decided not to make payments. Then you get a letter about collections, and if you ignore that, it gets turned over to collections. This $825 would go to $1,600 pretty quickly, okay? So if you're having trouble, reach out. Don't just ignore it, okay? Your first payment is due on December 3rd. Each payment is due on the 3rd of each month thereafter. I'm going to give you not only a copy of this time pay agreement, but a copy of your driver's abstract. It does show you what's holding your license.
Okay.
All right. Good luck with that reinstatement, Mr. Tenbush. All right. Unfortunately, Mr. Hanson, that's the only individuals present today. So our docket is pretty small.
Hopefully they're all out in line for in-person voting.
Right. All right.
Is there a way we can look at Ms. Nano's affidavit for her financial declaration?
She is by herself and makes $3,500 a month on a that's still,
I did it, Your Honor. She said she was married.
even with two, she still far exceeds the yeah. It's a pension, but it's not, I mean, it's still more income than a lot of these other folks have with only two individuals. So, yeah. The following cases were resolved before the docket was called. In each of these cases, the offer was made to amend them to an infraction. The individuals admitted the infractions and signed a promise to pay the penalty that was imposed. It's Sinu Alcaraz Nava, LaShawn Bethia, Adrian Andrade, Brenda Adderton Danley, Heinrich Kaiser, Ezekiel Cruz Polito, Emmanuel Cuckoo, Michelle Garza, Jonathan Gordian Torres, Robin Hanna, Andrew Tyler, and Ernesto Uribe. Those cases have already been resolved. All right, we'll turn next to the failure to appears. Ahmed Al-Mufargi. There is no response, and Mr. Green, there's nobody else out in the hallway. All right. He has failed to appear here today. This matter was set on October 6th. He failed to appear on that date. The matter was reset to today's date. The notice was returned with an indication of an insufficient address. Thank you. Mr. Green just checked the hall. There is no people in the hallway. I have a address at the Department of Licensing that looked like it was on September 9th, 2017. We sent that. And we sent notice to that address, and it was not returned. The one to Albany Court was returned.
Your Honor, based on his warrant history, as well as a warrant being issued on a Kennewick case that occurred after this case, we are going to ask you to let the FTA issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. And Mr. Uribe, I actually may have seen him this morning in Benton County when I was doing in custody arraignments remotely.
All right, on Al-Mufargi, I don't see any current criminal cases in Benton County.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard the name Uribe.
Oh, no, Ahmed Al-Mufargi.
Sorry about that. Not even
You
close.
may have heard a Uribe earlier, Ernesto. I think we did a reduction in that case. I did call that case in the group that was reduced. With regard to Mr. Al-Mufargi, I'm not sure what else we can do. He failed to appear on the 6th. He's failed to appear here today.
Your Honor, we'd ask for a bench warrant in the most minimal amount that Your Honor can issue.
We'll do $250. Sean Brooks. We,
Incarcerated, John. Someone in the hallway knew him, called, they said he was incarcerated.
waiting for Jabs to catch up here.
Yes, there is a conviction for a felony no contact order violation in Benton County Superior Court that occurred on July 26th.
This is the third court date for Mr. Brooks on which he's failed to appear. We were notified that he was in custody in September. I have no idea when his release date might be. He has a fairly, well, I guess not let's see. 1, 2, 3 prior. No, those are not guilty. Theft was guilty. 2 prior felonies. So I suppose it's possible that he gets local time. Let's reset this one last time and send him notice to, let's set it out to January. This is a driving while license suspended, 3rd degree. That might, if he's been in custody since before September, that might give him an opportunity to finish up and be able to come to court. Stephen Burt. There's no response today. The address was not returned, or excuse me, the notice was not returned, but the address we have is in Montana.
There's a CDK note indicating he called the court to say his car broke down. He was not able to make it to court. So we just asked you note the FTA reset. He's supposed to call back in about 40 minutes to determine what occurred today. So perhaps the clerks can give him a new court date over the mail and a proper address and send a notice.
All right, we'll reset with notice based on that record. Edwin Capetillo Garcia. This is a setting following a warrant. The individual posted $300 cash in this case. This is a compliance with an SOC. The SOC was entered, let's see, on June 19th, 2018, on the condition he have no criminal violations. Looks like he has some pending matters from 2020.
I see there is originally, I think notice might have been given for November 10th. On the CDK notes, says females at the window, wanted to pay bail, emailed Pasco PD to recall warrants. I'm not sure what DAC is, but it's DAC SOC set for November 10th at 8:30. And they updated the address, and then it says DAC SOC on November 10th was canceled. Arraignment on the warrant set for November 3rd. Also, case setting was emailed to our office and mailed once again to the address of the individual. That was back on September 24th. So it may be
Let's
awesome.
just set it over to next Tuesday morning.
8:30.
Yes. Griselda Carrasco. There's a Benton County warrant for assault. It's an older case from 2017. But it looks like it's not been resolved yet. Mr. Hanson,
Hey, Aaron, City asking out the FTA issue bench warrant, $250 cash or bond.
issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. Nakia Coleman. Looks like Ms. Coleman has a warrant out of Benton County. She has some other cases here with Mr. Libert. Let me see.
Aaron, we know the FTA on September 28th and reset to December 21st on the suspended second. So we'd ask, the FTA here issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. And it looks like she also failed to appear July 6th on that underlying suspended second.
Issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. Ryland Duncan.
And we just asked, the FTA reset one time. Looks like this is the first failure to appear on this case.
Note the failure to appear and reset with notice. George Enriquez.
Looks like there's a call yesterday from defendant's sister indicating he is in an ICU at, I believe, Cadleck Hospital.
All right. We'll note the failure to appear. We'll reset with notice. Flor Esquivel Lopez. Looks like there was a prior failure to appear. The matter was reset with notice for today's date. The mail was returned.
And based on the return mail and the prior FTA, we'd ask, the FTA issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond.
issue a bench warrant on the gross misdemeanor. I'll issue that at $350 cash or bond. Daniel Forzaglia.
I believe he has an outstanding Richland warrant. He's part of Mr. Rio's notes on the offer page. So I'm waiting for Jabs to load.
And since this one on October 2nd, he has 1, 2, 3 more additional stops for the same.
Yeah, based on the outstanding bench warrant, we'd ask for a bench warrant be issued at $250 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. Alexis Garcia. Garcia has 1, 2, 3 outstanding warrants for driving offenses.
Your Honor, based on this being a reckless driving and the 3 outstanding warrants, we're going to ask you if the FTA issue a bench warrant $1,000 cash or bond.
Will issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond. Patricia Guevara. We reset this from July to October 6th and reset again to today's date.
Sorry, Your Honor, what was the last name on that one?
Guevara, G-U-E.
Your Honor, she's currently set for November 17th to hire Mr. Roach on the underlying DUI. Let's see. We'd ask you to note the FTA. I'm not sure if Your Honor would be willing to reset it and have her arraigned Tuesday morning, where she would either have Mr. Roach on board who could quickly do it, or make her wait around for Mr. Huey to do it at 10 o'clock.
I'm inclined just to reset it to our regular arraignment docket in the afternoon and make her come back for both of those. There's 3 failures to appear. She's received notice on each of them. We've mailed them to multiple addresses. What's our docket in the morning look like? It's 20, 30 cases plus infractions currently. We'll reset it in the morning. Need to remember to make a note that she needs to stay and be arraigned, not just sign a promise to appear on the other case. Brittany Heimbeiner. She failed to appear in August, then she failed to appear in September. It was reset to today's date. She called in September indicating that she was sick, but at that time, she also had an outstanding warrant for a violation of a no contact order. So I have a feeling that had a lot more to do with her not appearing in court on September, because we haven't heard from her since. She was told to call back on September 30th regarding the court date on September 29th. She made no contact.
Your Honor, we'd ask, the FTA issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. I'll just note, looks like Benton County quashed your warrant because RPD did not want to drive to the Yakima jail to book her.
Which may happen in this case as well, if that comes down to that. Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Brian Jacobs. Defendant's failed to appear today. Looks like he has 2 outstanding warrants in Benton County for similar violations.
Your Honor, based on his warrant history, his failure to appear today, we're going to ask that you issue a bench warrant, $750 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $750 cash or bond. Julian Loera. Notice was mailed previously to their address following a failure to appear on October 6th.
Your Honor, since there's a prior FTA, we'd ask the FTA issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond.
issue a bench warrant, $350 cash or bond. Jesus Lopez. Defendant's failed to appear. Looks like he has a warrant in this court. And 1, 2, 3, 4 warrants out of Benton County, excuse me, 2 warrants out of Benton County, 3 warrants out of Franklin County.
And if you scroll down further, there's, I think, oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's got 6 outstanding warrants total.
Yeah.
We're going to ask, Your Honor, note the FTA issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond.
Note the FTA issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond. David Madero Sanchez. Defendant's failed to appear
Let's note the FTA.
today. Reset with notice. Rosanna Lee Marican.
And it looks like Miss American has an outstanding bench warrant out of Franklin County District Court for a resolved suspended third. Based on the outstanding bench warrant, we're going to ask you to note the FTA issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $250 cash or bond. Daniel Martinez. Looks like he posted bail, in this case, in the amount of $750. Notice was mailed to the Richland address.
Based on him posting bail, appears he received a controlled substance violation 3 days after that bench warrant was issued out of Benton County. We're going to ask you to note the FTA issued a bench warrant in the amount of $1,500 cash or bond, forfeit prior bail.
Defendant's failed to appear. Issue a bench warrant, $1,500 cash or bond. forfeit the bail. Norm McClanahan.
Your Honor, this individual called the court this morning indicating they weren't feeling well and were advised to quarantine. So we'd ask you to note the FTA reset.
We will do that. I noticed there's a warrant out of Benton County for his arrest. Let me look. Mr. McClanahan moved away. He has an Aragon address, so. I'm familiar with Mr. McClanahan. I do find probable cause in this case. For some reason, it wasn't with my cases when I reviewed this earlier. He thought the Pasco Police Department was too much to deal with, so he was going to relocate outside the area because they were always arresting him. I said, maybe you need to stop possessing meth and they'll leave you alone.
Well, I mean, to his credit, most of it appears to be driving related offenses.
Yeah.
So maybe a more walkable community is the solution.
Yes.
But I'm not sure how walkable Aragon is. I've never had the pleasure of hanging out there.
We'll reset with notice. Just reviewing the other case as well. I do find probable cause in that case. Trish Merrill. Defendants failed to appear today.
And based on seems minimal warrant history, we'd ask you to note the FTA reset one time.
Reset with notice. Jason Miller. This is a possession of stolen property. Did find probable cause in this case. Looks like the notice was not returned.
Mr. Miller has fairly extensive warrant history, as well as being on, I believe, conditions of release for a theft case from May out of this court. He failed to appear in September for that case. So we'd ask, the FTA here issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Esther Oliva.
Miss Oliva has an outstanding warrant out of Walla Walla. Based on that warrant, we'd ask, the FTA issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Angelica Ortega. Seems she does have warrant history, but it dates back to 2012.
Yeah. Looks like, oh, never mind. She did show up for a felony identity theft. Our city would be okay noting the FTA this one time, resetting with notice.
Note the failure to appear and reset with notice. Edgar Rodriguez. Looks like notice was returned.
Your Honor, based on the nature of the charge, the return and notice, warrant history, we're going to ask the FTA issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Alan Rosane.
And Mr. Rosane has a bench warrant out of Benton County District Court for an assault DV from 2019. It looks like Superior Court from September 20th, Franklin Superior, September 20th for theft in the first degree. Based on those outstanding warrants, we're going to ask you note the FTA issue bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $1,000 cash or bond. David Valdez Zarate. Mr. Zarate looks like he failed to appear in June. It's reset to September. He failed to appear in September. It was reset to October 6th. He failed to appear on October 6th, but contacted the court indicating he was exposed to COVID, indicating he wouldn't be here.
Within those 12 days, looks like he now has felony charges for threats to kill, DV, based on I gotta get back on the right case.
Yeah.
Based on his failure to appear October and looks like September and June, we're gonna ask that you issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond.
What was that amount, counsel?
500, Your Honor.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. Christopher Westfall. No significant warrant history. Note the defendant's failure to appear. Reset with notice. Christopher Wolf. Mr. Wolf has been prolific this year. Indecent exposure, unlawful trespass, first and second degree, simple assault in Benton counties and Pasco Municipal Court. I don't have a good address for.
Looks like there's a warrant for arrest issued on a Franklin Superior harassment, threat to kill, or threat to bodily injury. So based on the outstanding warrant, as well as this history, the FTA issued bench warrant, $500 cash or bond.
Issue a bench warrant, $500 cash or bond. That appears to be my last case, Mr. Hanson. So we will be in recess. So you are aware, I don't think we have a whole lot scheduled tomorrow, but I am not here tomorrow.
I believe Mr. Rio will be doing remote tomorrow morning.
Mr. Atwood's going to be here. And there's one arraignment and 2 pretrial hearings, and then whatever might be in custody, so. All right. Mr. Hanson, have a good evening.
You too, Your Honor.
These hearings are adjourned.